Hello, my name is Joey Trussler, and for my culminating activity, I have chosen the reptile, the common snapping turtle. A snapping turtle is large and lives in fresh water. They have quite short tempers and very, very strong jaws. Their shell is black and their head is large, and their neck is covered with tubercles on their top and sides. Their legs are tan and heavily scaled, and they have webbed feet that have very, very long claws. Their eyes sit dorsolaterally, and they have two barbels on their chin, and their tail is very long and has 3 rows of very high scales on it. Snapping turtles are omnivores, which means their diet is split between plants and animals. Plants make up about 1/3 of their food, which they eat in massive amounts to support their large bodies. Common snapping turtles can be up to 40 pounds, and alligator snapping turtles can weigh 200 pounds or more. The non-plant portion of their diet is quite varied. Snapping turtles eat insects, spiders, frogs, snakes, crayfish, and fish. They will even eat birds if the opportunity presents itself. Other turtles and small mammals. They can also act as scavengers, feeding off of dead animal remains. The snapping turtle's usual method of hunting is quite interesting and very effective. They bury themselves in the mud and wait for the prey to come along to them. Then they quickly reach out and snatch it. This is known as the ambush method of hunting. The ambush method is the main method of hunting used by adults, but young snapping turtles will often chase and catch their prey without lying in wait. Snapping turtles spend a majority of their time in the water and only come on land to lay their eggs. Common snapping turtles are the more wide-ranging species out of the two species, hence the name common. They are found throughout eastern and central portions of the United States, from southern Canada to the Gulf of Mexico, and into northern Central America, where they can also be found in western U.S. because they have been introduced there by humans and not naturally put there. They usually live in shallow, slow-moving water. This includes lakes, slow streams, marshes, swamps, and ponds. They also enjoy areas with muddy or sandy bottoms, where they can bury themselves in to practice their ambush way of acquiring food. Though happiest in fresh water, the snapping turtles can also live in brackish water, which is a mixture of salt and fresh water. Although in late autumn, snapping turtles decrease their activity, and by late October, most have entered hibernation. They bury themselves in the muddy bottom. While hibernating, snapping turtles need little oxygen and absorb oxygen through their skin instead of breathe out of the water. When in water, a snapping turtle will normally shy away from danger. When confronted, it will remain very still. As soon as it can, it will quickly swim away from the disturbance. A snapper can and sometimes will bite underwater. It's when on land that the snapping turtle lives up to its vicious, dangerous name. They will lunge forward and snap with their sharp beak. The snapper's strong jaws and sharp beak can rip skin and flesh. The bite of a snapper is painful, and it can hold on ferociously and strongly. The time that snapping turtles are most vulnerable is when they're quite young, usually hatchlings. Once a snapper reaches adulthood, it has few enemies. Humans are the main predators of adult snappers, unfortunately, and it is estimated that snappers live an average to 30 to 40 years in the wild. Now, I'm going to be talking about the snapping turtle's evolution. Although it is commonly believed that snapping turtles have lived among the dinosaurs, this is completely incorrect, but they did have ancestors that did. The snapping turtle's earliest ancestor is the Anutosaurus, dating back 260 million years ago. This is apparent that it became the snapping turtle over this amount of time because of fossil records and the way it adapted and varied to its environment. This is explained through the ribs of the Anutosaurus were very wide and flat, just like that of our turtle today, and of the carapace of the turtle. However, the number of vertebrae and the size of vertebrae and their structure are nearly identical to some of the turtles today. The next earliest ancestor is the Papoeciliels, dating back 240 million years ago. This is prevalent through taxonomy and the adaptation and variation of this species. It is considered a stem turtle, and the taxonomy compared to the turtle is related more than any other reptile on Earth, but they are not turtles themselves. Adaptation shows that the skeletons of both the snapping turtle today and the Pappardelle are very, very, very similar, even though it is a different type of reptile, as the Pappardelle is a stem turtle and the snapping turtle is a turtle. Just like the Inutosaurus, there is evidence of a shell developing, just like the turtle, although it's not yet on the Prognathosceles. It is probably because they had no other defense mechanism except their strong jaws and needed something for when they were being attacked from behind. And this was a very, very important part of this species surviving, as they needed another way of defending themselves. The next one, dating back 210 million years ago, is the Prognathosceles. And most likely, the adaptation that took it closer to the snapping turtle is the biogeography of this ancestor. It is the first ancestor of the turtle that has a fully developed shell. Also the first turtle-related ancestor that did not have teeth and instead had a beak. Also, they were 1 meter in size and herbivorous in nature. Biogeography helped make this closer to the snapping turtle, as it started to become more aquatic compared to its ancestors who were more land-dwelling reptiles, therefore adapting to its aquatic environment. The next ancestor is the Protocledra zengleri, and this dated back 66 to 56 million years ago. The cause of the adaptation that led it to the snapping turtle is mass extinction, as this species was one of the only ones to survive in the turtle kingdom. There is not much information on this turtle ancestor, but it is a very important part of the ancestry of the snapping turtle. The next ancestor is the Meiolanidae. Its fossils dated back 48 million years ago, but only went extinct 2,000 years ago. It is an extinct family of large, possibly herbivorous turtles with heavily armored heads just like the snapping turtle, and tails, just like the snapping turtle. The adaptation that led it to the snapping turtle is most likely related to their similar fossil records, as they're almost identical with their heavily armored heads, as I stated, and their tails. I am finished with explaining the evolutionary traits of the snapping turtle. I'm now going to go into a fun part of this presentation and show you guys the pure strength of the snapping turtle's bite, both the alligator snapping turtle and the common snapping turtle, against flesh and human skin and a pineapple. Now for my closing statements. Adaptation and variation, fossil records, biogeography, mass extinction, and taxonomy are all parts of the adaptation of the snapping turtle and what it is today, a massive tank of a turtle. If it weren't for these variables in the adaptation of the snapping turtle would have a lot more enemies, as it would not have as much protection as it has today. Unfortunately, it still has few enemies, and one of those is us. And it's not the way you think. We don't usually hunt snapping turtles. It is more us just being idiots and paving roads right through their habitats. Every chance I get while driving through to my cottage, if I find a snapping turtle on the road, I will make it my priority to move it off the road. Unfortunately, there are many times where I do see a dead snapping turtle on the road, and it's very sad that people don't pay attention to these things, as they are an endangered species. These dinosaur-looking creatures may not exist in a couple of years by the rate that they are disappearing, as their habitat is slowly disappearing. So, we need to put more effort into saving these animals. Even though they look scary, they're not as bad as you think. All you have to do is keep your distance from them and they'll leave you alone, just like any other animal on Earth. Thank you for listening to my project. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And if you ever encounter a snapping turtle, do not mess with it.
Nyai, nyai, panda, panda, nice it, nice it.